Hello. Introductions. Well, you should get a haircut. Let's take this shirt off. So it's how would I approach this? Some thinking. I'd like to get into some training, some training videos, and I just got this channel hooked up because I've been following some other people on Facebook, and I never really kind of thought of it. I've talked to some friends, and I've had a bunch of people, actually in the last couple of years, wanting to go train and stuff. And due to COVID and other things, jobs changing, you steer back into to things that you've already learned earlier in life, being the things that makes the most impact on your life, and that would be the Army, and what your job or MOS is and that kind of thing. Living with a canine dog for 11 years. You thirsty, aren't you, buddy? And things you like to do. And we've had dogs, German Shepherds, forever. And my brother actually worked with the police in North Carolina there, the bite dummy for some of the dogs and this and that and other. And actually, excuse me, the Copenhagen is a ranger thing. It's kind of a, actually, that's about what I was going to do, is go to down there in Georgia to get a bomb dog, to be honest, because we got laid off from work. But at any rate, and then trying to obtain a range safety officer. And it's things kind of tie here. I've lived here since this South Carolina here since '89, and then went in the service in '90, and came back here in '95, and actually did a construction business, and for a good while, in the housing market and all the things it does. But where am I getting at this? Well, I was trying to introduce myself, kind of, I guess, and starting in. I don't know if this is a good way to approach it. I'm just going to be myself. So, how would that be? Kind of do the into sports in high school, and then individual sports, turned into a fighter for the Y. We didn't have a pool there. That went on for some years. Golden gloves and all that kind of stuff, and construction, and then into Desert Storm, the service called. I was actually here in Myrtle Beach, and so I was one of them dudes that my family's military, colonels and lieutenant colonels, etc. And grandfather, 82nd, World War II, national director. So it was meant to happen, and it did. So I had back then, I guess it was a Ranger contract, is what you'd see on YouTube and stuff now. We had RIP, but I kind of wanted to, I knew what I wanted when I went, so I was kind of researching LERPs and stuff at the library and this and that and the other. And I didn't get in right away, so um, I come to Myrtle Beach with the Hurricane Hugo and started doing construction, and then I guess Desert Storm started up, and I got the call, and I went, and so we'll start with that. Um, Being from where I grew up, it was hunting, a lot of hunting, mainly hunting and fishing, but more hunting than than fishing, really, I would imagine. Uh, and back then, the times the DNR, I remember coming in junior high is crazy. They do hunter safety. I took that. So, and the reason I bring this up at the range safety officer, sir, they asked, "What's the first time you got involved, with that?" And that's what they said. And everybody was like, "There's a bunch of older guys like me in the class, that all either prior law enforcement, or military backgrounds, instruction trainers." And it was a pretty good course and very thorough. The guy that put it on is ex-military, the senior range officer. But and I'm probably going to go there tomorrow. They were going to have a 3-gun, but they changed it. And so I'm just trying to do introductions, um, in a sense to. That's usually the format. I've had a job as a mechanic, aircraft, a 787 down here in Charleston, and they did introductions. It was all military people, mainly Air Force, and they was like, when I said 11 Bravo, everybody in the place, I was the only one. They were like, where's that? Why do they hire this guy? But as a civilian, I'd worked in another place building airplane seats or something there in Winston-Salem, so that was way back. So I guess with a combination of the two, they said, "We'll figure out something." This thing was huge. The fuselage of the section. I guess they needed climbers or whatever. But so let's. Yeah, I'm not going to go rattling on forever on here because it won't load. But so the training was my route. My route was 11 Bravo. I'm 11 Bravo. One station unit trained into. The Rangers were taking 11 Bravos, raw recruits, or Special Forces medics was the routes in back then. E5 or better from Special Forces. My squad leader was Special Forces medic. So it had the one station unit training, which we were doing the war, going up against the chemical war there. So the mock training and actually firing iron sights with gas masks. And it's kind of a camp there. If you get your weapons set up for that kind of stuff, or if you're not accustomed, to that. And the Army, they train pretty good for the infantry and to qualify. My job at BAT, I was a scout swimmer by their choice, and I was a rifleman. I was a 203 Grenadier on a fire team, and we did airfield seizures and direct action raids. So we had the tower houses, that kind of stuff, with explosives, stuff that can't be trained really, but other than the Army, and a different approach there with that. We were taught door kickers. So, but as far as let's get into the basics of the fundamentals and the standards, and I'm like, and the Rangers is by the handbook. I mean, is by the Ranger standards for over 200 years, and they say the creed every morning. That's the first thing at 04, and they live by it. And even after you get out 30, 40 years ago, that is a lasting impression on your life. It can't be reversed. I think that as far as the training for RIP, well, I'm jumping ahead, but I'm trying to throw a quick video here about who I am, and in a sense, and I'm wanting to be a trainer. I graduated class leader at RIP 8-91. Not for being the best shot, not for the fastest runner. All those guys are crack shots, runners from hell. The standard for the, it's not a test, it's a standard, so it's maintained. That's a hard uniform to wear. And it was pretty brutal early in those days. Probably more brutal than the training that you were getting. I mean, of course, we had to get goes on stuff, forced march, but I'm jumping ahead. So it was a one-station unit trained infantry grunt. Qualifications was out to 300 with iron sights, watch your lane, 36 to 40 is an expert. First 220 round magazines, the first 20 was one at a time, and is engaged a threat, the closest target. So the way they did that was shooting silhouettes, not like butts. My brother was a Marine, and our qualification was actually shooting the closer from the 50 out to, you had two lanes, 50, 100, 200, to 3, shoot the 6 at 2, iron sights. I was trained with my nose on the charging handle for the most part. And that's a pretty good setup with your points of contact and where that cheek touches and having that exact sight picture, that kind of thing. And even the optics I kind of run, I'm kind of just basic, but it works for me. I think it's like anything else. To drive nails, if you drive them a lot, if you shoot a lot, the Rangers train 50 weeks out of the year. They take block leave. You're on an RF for ready for status, 1, 2, and 3 for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd battalion with the training battalion attached. But if you're on a ready force, when I did scout swimmer, we were on RF2. So we could only be so far a readiness formation where you're living RF1, you cut your own hair. You got a packing list. You're not leaving that barracks. RF2, we had beepers, that kind of thing, for alerts, because you're on the front lines for the world of what's going on. Whether we weren't active with the Afghanistan, and that was a different time. I've lost good friends in there. To this day that I still think about. I got pictures of them hanging on my wall. So one of them, we weren't, they had the Army Buddy plan. That wasn't it, but kind of with the way the names line up, S and T, TD, Smith, Rez, that kind of thing, alphabetical in the military, and then you kind of bond up with this kind of dude, and you're going to got the same route, and you're the survivor into the next section. There's dudes there at Desert Storm started when I was in, and MOSs got switched. They started with the mechanized infantry. I think it's 197th, and the guys were getting on the TOW missiles and Bradleys. So their MOS has changed. I can't remember what that MS was, but they got switched out from 11 Bravos. A bunch of dudes. There was a lot of dudes with the Ranger contract, and at the beginning is how it started. And then things switched around, so it's kind of chaotic, and the Army could be different all the time. It's not locked in to the same story, but that kind of thing. So we got trained up on rifles and a bunch of stuff there at Boot Camp Medical. A lot of that, it's 13 weeks of, that's your life. Learning how to march, learn how to communicate, learning formations, and they just don't. This state's just come to open carry with no training. To me, I carry what I use, and so I'm a full size kind of pistol guy. I kind of like the 34 just because of the price, and I kind of like a brick Glock, and it works for me with the sight. I have steel sights. I don't run an optic on that. I've kind of highlight some night sights on my setup. Kind of works for me. I don't know if it's the greatest, but I, do pretty good with that for a rifleman with a pistol. In that sense, but I've got into that on my own kind of for about 10 or 11 years, and I like to do it more often with the price of ammo and stuff, especially the long gun. But so more on one station unit trained there 13 weeks, and you earn your cross rifles and your blue rope, and that switches out to airborne school, which airborne is airborne. That's the school learn to be airborne, how to do mass exits out of 130s and 141s, and that's basically what that is. 3 weeks of ground week, tower week, and jump week. The 5 mass exits for that kind of thing, and it's still stuff now to this day. I went a few years ago to this indoor skydiving thing just because I wanted to jump in. And it was really kind of cool, very cool. I'd like to go back. I mean, I'm committed to a dog and work and that kind of thing. So, but it's good training. If you swim, I swim, and you got a little bit of core work there. It's a good time. We're training. So, and looking for that Army bond of kind of thing. It was open for everybody, but and I come from a family of skydivers on that, well, all the way around airborne. But my mom's side is Jimmy. My grandfather was a skydiver, and they were skydivers. Army or not, they're skydivers. All the but so. Go on with it. So after you learn to do ground week, which is running and the standard runs, and the training in the hangars and all the towers, mass exits out of the 34, and because that's one of them things. It's your mind is, the reaction time has got to happen faster than what your brain can have. It's like reflexes, that kind of thing, and being in the right positions and the right movements, because there's at 1,200 feet and a malfunction or a partial malfunction, and it's not like you're soloing. They're shotgunning. Even if it's Hollywood jumps, you're shotgunning out both doors meeting. The jump master is going to count you out on what stick, and they're going to race path around. 10 minutes, stand up, hook up, and when they open the doors, you're basically yelling the command to the guy behind you, and you're shuffling wherever you're at static jumps, but if you're the left or right door, that kind of thing. So when you get to jump week, but you'll learn this from the ground on up through the towers. Actually, we didn't go. I never did the 250 tower because the winds were nuts. So we just went straight to the plane the following week, and they say a little prayer, and you go up and do your jumps. Man, one of them kind of things, and they make it pretty safe for the knots in the wind. I think it can't be over 20, 25 knots or some shit. And they'll give you a green light, go. And you'll take the bird up, you'll load up, get counted off, jam PI'd, and out, make your jump. Whatever pass you're on, first, second, or third, and you graduate. And then, it's pretty cool. And then from that point, me and Smith got a 2-hour layover, and we kind of skated because we was at 507th. That's this picture back here. That's the first of the 507th that I graduated in, and all the people's in it. It got in a flood and got some damage, but it still hung in the frame. So that's an old picture. So then RIP. the Rangers come and got us at the 507th. And we had a huge class, if I can remember. But, it's a wake-up call. Our basic training was kind of high stress because of the war. Started during that. Airborne, like I said, is kind of separated. That's there. You're there to learn mass exits out of 130s and 141s. It's a school, and that's what you're there for. So RIP that is really a gut check. And I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings with anything or offend anybody. That's kind of I don't know how to describe that. You can't train that. That's just that person's that person when they get there. They're picking who they're really going to train once they get to bat. That is really it's a fucking gut check from hell. It's not legal to train people that way. I mean, there's no need. You need to learn how to defend yourself in some form of fighting and marksmanship and standards and safety. And like I said, I kind of use my dog not to defend me, but just for a deterrence is kind of my strategy. Really don't want to shoot anybody at all. And go through the legalities of that and that in that sense. So the dog is a pretty good judge of character, and they're way smarter than us, and they've got a nose that's unstoppable. So in that format, if he can intimidate somebody that's trying to rob you, is what I'm trying to say. It's the same thing as having a no gun zone. That's where they're going to rob. Yeah, if that makes any sense, that same kind of mindset. So, but at any rate, my video is getting entirely too long. But I'm just so from that point, RIP came. We kind of low crawled all the way over there. You got 10 seconds. Get your asses on the truck. 3, 2, 1, freeze. Low crawl, and you're changing units. So you got a D bag and a C bag and all your shit and all your gear, and that kind of sense. And then they get over there finally, and the dude's just running. You need a running game, a strong one. And I had a really good running game, even though I didn't run track, but from boxing, we ran a lot. And I was done a mile pretty good, and I would just fit in. I was in the mix. So, you start learning their way and the creed, and it's pretty radical. It was pretty tough. And this, like I might have said it, I got class leader for going back and helping somebody that was falling out, if that makes any sense. And not for being the best runner or the best shooter, but for not leaving somebody behind, one of them kind of things. And yeah, they'll train up on that, and you got to get goes on. You're going to do some nighttime, daytime, land and cold range, and 4 jumps, which, man, day jump, night jump. Sometimes things always don't work out. I think my last 2 jumps, the day and jump. I hit the plane, the winds was way back in the stick, one of them kind of deals. And the 130s, you really need to get a good launch out of there. And you're better to stand in the door. The 141 kind of sucks you on out there, but the 130, if you jump into the winds, I think I hit the deflector and went into crazy stuff. It had twist up, choking me, couldn't see my main, falling like a sack of shit to the ground. Passing those feller jumpers are going up. Well, they never got a slip pulled or anything. And it knocked me completely out when I hit the ground. And then I was getting drug madness by the winds till I come to and pulled my, then did a night jump. And the door stuck. Was the first man out. But that's 24 hours in there is a lifetime. So basically had a concussion, I reckon, I would imagine, and got jammed PI'd for the night and counted out. I was on the third pass, first jumper out, right door, and the door don't come open. And the drop zone's only so big, he hears, and had to unhook off the static line, and shit's kind of bouncing around, walk all the way to the end of the plane, hook up on the other static line, and jump. And we didn't hit the drop zone, and a bunch of dudes got hurt, and this kind of stuff. So, like I said, this is a little more in depth than firearms and weapons. I'm calling them weapons because that's is a thing we use, but that's not everything. That's that's a part of. That's something you got to have on you. That's something you need. It to a more extreme, but that's a given, and then we got to add to that. I mean, we got to get to the fight. That's kind of not self-defense. They're going after bad people. So it's you got to get there by the sea or air or land. One of them kind of things. So there's a lot more to it, and communications and this and that, and being on a team and that some stuff, But the rip, at any rate, then you go to bat. They kind of form it up. First platoon, second platoon, third platoon order with platoon. Basically, a platoon. You'll start learning the chain of command because all the guys going to first platoons first bats, first platoon, second platoon, third platoon at Fort Benning, that kind of shit. And I kind of can't remember what headquarters was. I mean, it's there at Benning, but maybe them guys was mixed in with third. But if you're over all that, knowing the status, so we got 57 Rangers, county president, because they're going to come out there, and if somebody's shit's not squared away, you got to know it. If you're the class leader, was if they're at the medical with some injury or whatever the hell's going on, and that kind of stuff. So you kind of don't want to be the lead guy. You'll do it because that's what every one of these guys can do it. They can run the pack, and but it's a lot. So it's that kind of setting and that kind of training and background. And it's a high turnover. It's really hard on you. So rip, and then even after the last jump and you're not graduated, that could turn into a forced ruck run. And you're getting smoked out because guys are hanging in trees because they jumped out the wrong side. I wasn't the only one. I was just the last one out of the plane on that particular jump. That was my last jump at RIP. And your cadre is like, y'all have not graduated yet. The class was called Smoke. And you say ruck run, and you're not going to sleep any. So I'm just giving you kind of a rundown of how that was. And then when you go to bat, it starts all over. You're the new guy. Everybody there is going to test your ass. You're going to get your issue finally, your 3 pair of jungle boots, your weapons, and getting squared away and we had flat jackets and web gear, but all that shit gets customized with 550 and bowling knots and getting your shit. And then you're going to have to go on details, TDY, in the fucking new boots. Dudes are in there in the shower in their underwear and in jungle boots, getting them wet because the feet department. Like I said, my squad leader was a fucking medic, so he had the moleskin and this magic spray that make your feet numb, and knowing just how to lace your boots and miss the eyes because allow for the swell but not too loose and too loud. And then we'll ask shitty socks, turn inside out them green and put just enough powder in there and get your shit on right. There's a lot more to just the weapons, and then whatever you're humping and jumping, that's your weapon. The 203 Grenadier, what the weight is at max effective range, you're humping and jumping that. So you're going to load out in your web gear plus the loadout for the 40 millimeter HEs and illumination rounds in case we got to get a 90 shot on an insurgent vehicle or something shit, like that. And you fucking force marching, you'd rather run. You go do we're going to do TDY to Fort Campbell and train with the 160th, and we're going to be fast roping out of Blackhawks, and we're going to do a daytime drive, daytime live, nighttime live, nighttime live, nighttime live, and there's a lot of shit going on. And so more so than just, it starts at the beginning with, they don't even give you have brass and ammo checks, and they get you squared away on muzzle awareness, how to squeeze a trigger. We actually put a rod in the end of the A2, the A1s, A2s, I believe that's what we had, and your buddy holds a little quarter, and they're getting you. So they're trying to get a mechanical 0, and then a tight shot group. No rush, no hurry. You're going to do this for 8 hours for 2 or 3 days. That kind of shit till they get it dialed in and people are watching you. Then that's the basics, And then, but when you do finally get some ammo, they got a science of it. It's called, we're going to make this quick and easy. And they got people zeroing, and they just set their dope. They just bring that mechanical to whatever that person's eye is. And actually, when you qualify, if you have a jam or a double feed or something like that, then hopefully the dude behind you will let you have his weapon so you can continue. And once you get that shot off, then you'll see what's going on and make the adjustment. And then, we had moving targets and this kind of stuff. This was back in advanced infantry training, but that's I'm not knocking it at all, but that's a given part. That's your life. Your rifle is your life. That's your that's something you'll never let go of for the rest of your life. They put that into you there. That's it's just how it is. So, but so when you get to bat, all this stuff kind of starts it's really going together for you. So you can use the air, being airborne. They have to maintain that status of jump at least a month or something, or a couple. They'll get the jumps in to make up because you're on an airborne pay and a ready force pay, an RF pay, the same as airborne pay, basic SEPs. And I had a child, so I had BAQ, basic separation housing, and they got all your shit squared away that way. And then it's train up, boys. It's so at the rotation, actually, my squad platoon sergeant hollers down, who's the E7, Ranger T, what's the third stanza of the Ranger Creed or some shit, and I was fucking it up. Excuse my language, this ain't for kids. I put for kids on my last video for the dog. I don't know, and I was getting one word wrong, of or the, and he was getting pissed. And he finally said, go get your Ranger handbook and read that shit. And blah, 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 I'm yelling it back down the hall and run back up there. And, he said, "You look thirsty, go get your 2-quart," because you had a 1-quart and a 1-quart and a 2-quart. And all this stuff was $5.50 to you. You're squared away because of airborne operations, and plus in Vietnam, we don't want to lose a bunch of shit. Even the boots, a bunch of dudes had the Israelis on their force march boots. You don't want to put that American, that jungle boot print down on the ground, but the hats are rolled, and doing your camo, the base, and your all this other kind of stuff. On our PCs, you had the cat eyes, and we wore glint tape because of little birds to pick up the infrared. So you're shooting your ass. It's nighttime, but dude, let one of them to go off on you. You call in for a little more support. It's raining on you, and then flap jackets. Fucking, you're sitting there, oh the fuck, then an HE and an HE, and then another one veers in, and them bitches can fly as low as this room. I mean, there, and the miniguns going off is insane. Even out of the 60s, you're fast roping and you're on a team. It's kind of the same thing, like an airborne command, and we come in line with 4 of them and on a hot DZ, and then those 60s start going off. Even with the earplugs, man, you can't fucking hear. And then I'm just saying, with the fast rope, you got some gloves. I mean, you got weapons and all, and you're on a line. You don't know if it's touching the ground. It could be another 20 feet. You throw this shit out of 60, 90-foot rope. It just depends on the geographics of the place. Those guns are blazing and shit. So you got to be in a focus, in a detail of what you're supposed to do. I was doing a shift. We got in these trenches. I don't know if you had any trench train fare, but you take the trench by force. And there's by force is usually what our defense is an offense. So, and it works, So their way of fighting, and but on top of that, they got it wired. Shit's going off and bullet, and and then you got 60 weapons teams shooting the 60s. And you're shifting. I'm going through the trench with my squad leader, the SF guy, and he said he got shot in the ass one time. And he didn't even know it because your adrenaline is going up so much, and that's training, man. When the heart and excel and then have to put rounds on target, that's really how it's going to be if you get attacked or something. So I like that kind of training. Like if you're running, run up and down, up and down, up and down, do some push-ups and everything, and then come back and try to put fire down or fire on the move, put your own cover if you have to, and that kind of training, that kind of stuff. Like I said, in airborne ops, if something happens, like I said, I hit the plane, went into a spin. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, I couldn't see my fucking main canopy. I see people beside of me going up. I'm going, what the fuck? And what they train. We can get into PLFs and all that kind of crap, parachute landfalls and hitting all your points of contact, elbows high, eyes on the horizon, knees slightly bent, because it's going to happen. You see it happen. Guys break their arms. If his elbow's out, it's broke. It's that. So it's like laying down a slinky, hitting all your points of contact. If what you're doing, you get a leave 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. You should be getting yanked like a yo-yo. So you're going to check your main, then look for fellow jumpers in the air. You're going right. If you see somebody else, if you land on his parachute, you need to pull a slip and get the fuck off of it. This kind of shit. I mean, you're jumping like 1,200 feet there. We could get to some low jumps at bat, but I'm not going to get into them kind of details. But you got to be able to think quickly. and be aware of your surroundings and that kind of thing. You know, you go to Walmart and get on your cell phone, and next thing you're getting robbed. I'm just saying, you kind of. I mean, I'm getting older, but still, be aware of what's going on around you, and you just don't. I think mainly in there, when you're part of a team like that, you don't want to let the people standing beside you down. It's more. It's not about you at that level. It's about them. It's about you don't want to be that guy that causes people to get hurt or killed even. And but it takes a while. You're not going to just start there. It's a building process of training, and you know, it is a whole lot more than just a firearm. And but it's everybody's got to start somewhere with the basic. Like I said, we just went open carry, and that's almost scary thinking that somebody could go do that with zero training whatsoever. And in that sense, this video is turning into ever. It's not even going to load. No, I'm introducing myself kind of. I'm not great. I'm not picture perfect. I'm not a hero or a badass, but I've served with some for a while. I was at BAT. I was at 3rd BAT and Bravo Company. And I know some heroes. And I've lost a few front heroes that were friends. And you know, and we're just in nutty times here. Just I don't, you know, from when I was a kid. So, but I think everybody needs to have some form of training, and you never know what could happen. You know, it's who we are. We're Americans, and I mean, where I'm getting at is back in them days, everybody went in the military. Our grandparents were all, and it's gotten less and less and less. What is it, 3% is it of the population now? And then you take special ops, it's 1% of the 3. That's crazy. And that's about, that's not even really a MOS. That is that's your life. It's not like being in a regular, I don't know how the regular Army is. I wasn't in it. I mean, I was just basic training until I got to an operations unit, and it was balls to the wall. It's almost indescribable, but the training is insane. Scout swimmer was insane. That's when you go to stuff like that. It was on an RF status. Probably supposed to go to Florida. We did it in Eufaula. We had water landing jumps, and the chutes will drown you. Believe me. So there's some training up on that. The swim test was insanity to even go. They put you under a parachute. You get these big ass fins to make it even worse. A UTV vest and a dive tool, and they put all the SEAL teams around this chute in this swimming pool, and you're going to tread water. Just after you do like 9,000 million flutter kicks into sand, and I mean we had some fun in there. Don't get me wrong, but you're already in shape, and then they're just putting you in the water with fins, basically, and they put this shit in your ears because you're in the water so much. But this swim test, dude's drowned. You're entangled. The chute's holding water, pockets on top of it. The risers are everywhere. The test is to swim in. Follow the seam in. I'll give you a hint, and follow the seam out. You're going to get disoriented. and you're going to get tangled up, and then you're going to try to get up, and there's going to be water on the chute. You might have to push. You got to make shit work. I mean, I had a construction business. I had to make shit work. It's kind of one of them things. You got to make shit. You're tangled up, but you're not. Bring that shit to the surface with you. Whatever's holding you down, bring it to the. Get some oxygen. And don't panic about it. You know what? I'm still tangled out. I got some oxygen. I need to go back down and reassess this shit again. Maybe I don't need to walk through this room just yet. Maybe I need to reassess this shit again because things is always changing, this kind of shit. But what you do know is I'm still fucking tangled up. This is not a time test. This is a don't drown test. And don't panic. So, go down and see what's trying to do. Cut yourself loose. Whatever you got to do, and then I'm out of oxygen. I need to get some more oxygen. So we'll go up here and get some more oxygen, and then move forward and complete the mission, and then get to extract. Follow the seam in and follow the seam out. You might get tangled up again on it, but dudes will get under there, and this is the first test because they're not going to let you jump out of a 47 Chinook. Is what we jumped. And I jumped it with Command Sergeant Major Guerrera, Command Sergeant. I'm taking it to the grave and the battalion commander on my 47. We walked right off the hellhole and went in Eufaula. The static on it because of the props, the rotors is a little bit further of a fall, the 130s and 141s. But the landing is like, if you ever land these military chutes on the ground, sucks ass. In the water, you could down to be taking this shit off, because you want it. That's what I'm saying. That's why they do this swim test. They got to get you up to Ranger speed. They got to gear you up, because if you get a crosswind or something and you've already pulled a slip and this chute comes down on top of you, you got to prove in that pool that you can get out from under. It's going to try to drown you. So you imagine everybody in a circle trying to pull, and you're pulling back, and this thing's still got water on top of it, sinking, holding 3 or 4 foot of water on top of it. In your test, they call you one at a time. You're not fresh and rested. You're coming off the side, and then they'll tell you subsurface and go out there, stick your hole through the main canopy, and then come back out. That kind of shit. Because let's scout swimmer. I don't even know if they fucking do this extraction anymore. They're going to pick you up. They put you on a line, and you got this vest with a link. And this is how up your ass you got to be with your swim buddy. And a lot of their stuff is daytime, nighttime. So if you're the first to go, then you don't know. But when they're telling you, well, remember, man, y'all are Rangers. And you're thinking, well, that don't sound like too good advice. That means you're doing it. Make it happen. So, a 47 has got 2 props to fuck on it. And the water blast coming off of this thing it's like a cylinder. So you're on a SEAL team, or we call scout swimmer team. And, if you're the squad leader, they're going to throw a line out. And you got equipment and gear, and we got to get hooked up on this line, and thumbs up for liftoff. And you got to look at your buddy and make sure his link's hooked up, and he's going to look at you and make sure that your link's hooked up. You can thumb up in each other's face because you're drowning. The only way to get away from the water is under the water. So it's a prop blast, sand blast, water blast, and getting this shit, and then thumbs up. And then they lift off. If you ever get off, then they fly your ass around the lake, and you're like spread eagle going, I'm alive, fuck it. That kind of shit. And it's fun. And that's heaven right then and there for those moments. And then you leave a guy in the daytime, and they're talking about daytime, nighttime with the chem light, and you're thinking, and they're telling you, man, y'all are Rangers, so blah, 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 blah. You're saying, we fucking struggled in the daytime. And you're fit, you're in your prime of your life, at that age, could run like the wind, and these is still feet. training up like that. It's the NFL can't train like that. It's impossible. But I mean, I've rattled on and on. This probably won't even load, but it's something that's really dear to me in my heart, and I'm passionate about in safety and training and being around those types of people. And then so I got a dog to work with, and they're amazing too. And he goes to the range, and he's been with me. I don't want to mess his ears up and stuff, long guns too much, but he knows what it is, and he's been trained up in that by me. And is he the greatest? Not, but he does what I need to be done, and it works for me. So people are different in their grips and how they hold, and your body and your hand and the way you run your gear, and it's got to work for you, that kind of sense. There's standards and basics and this and that, and there's some customization in a sense to what works for each individual. But here's the thing, and I'm going to end on this. This is what I think. Good trainers are passionate about what they do, and they care about you. Good leaders are the same thing. And I'm going to take that from the Rangers. And the Rangers lead by what they do, by example. They're not asking you to do bullshit that they wouldn't do themselves, and usually they lead through. And this shit is passed down from generations and generations and generations of fighting and defending, and by learning and through history. And what men will follow is that. I will follow that. I will follow them to wherever, just because of that. And, they're highest disciplined troops in the service. The training is, I think I keep up with them. I don't think their turnover is much as it used to be, is what they're saying and stuff like that. And you see guys doing it, this and that. So it's probably changed through regiments some. But that's a hard boot. That's a hard uniform to put on. I know some guys that a dude come and see me down here. I hadn't seen him in 20 fucking years or something. He looked me up, and he is a badass. I'm not going to say any names. I will tell the story briefly, but he texted me up because of this Facebook and all this bullshit. And I'm not much with computers. I mean, I did it to start this stuff to try to get up with my daughter. And that's my brother calling. But the guy come and looked me up. We ended up talking all night at some restaurant or something. But he was like, I'm at the under the bridge with a cat. And I'm like, what? And I'm texting back, or private messaging back, is that a canine cat? Just trying to be. I was like, what the fuck? And I said, well, dude, I got a dog, but if you're staying under the bridge, then we'll make something work out, because we're the Rangers. And he was in I'm thinking my platoon in my company. What platoon was he in? He's a 60 gunner, scuba, fucking, I think he was a fucking diver, actually. I was just a combat swimmer. He's in there forever. But at any rate, he said, no, dude, they got my house ready. This fucking crazy motel I'm staying in was called Under the Bridge. And I was like, so I was dying laughing, That's why I'm lifeguarding 2 jobs right now. I'm full-time, 80-hour-a-week lifeguard, but I'm down here, and the dude come and hooked me up, dude. I was about to cry when I seen him. I was like, damn, but you're still alive and everything, one of them kind of deals. And fucking we eat, And then I think he was needing some furniture or something, but I don't remember help moving, and I let him down. And I feel so bad about that because of my work. And man, he went up and visited another ranger up here that was a badass too. That's here in the area. That I go there and to that kind of dude, see him too. But I'm gonna get off of there with that. But the other was a cat, canine cat. So and but he's a security kind of dude, doing really good. I mean, he's trying to fuck yeah. But here, what's up, Book? I'm out later. This will never load.